This is Ryan Slaven. Today is April 11th, 2010. Today I'm interviewing my grandpa, Don Huber, in his home in Conroe, Texas. We'll be talking about his experiences in sharecropping and about just the total aspect of sharecropping in the 1900s. Thank you, Papa.
Ryan, basically what we encountered as farm kids was similar to the previous two generations before us, because my grandfather came over from Germany when he was 7, and he had to work on a farm in Warrington until he was 20 to pay the route over. So he was an indentured servant for 13 years. And then when he went ahead and paid his debt, he moved to Shiner, and they got married and had 12 kids, of which my father was the youngest of the 12 kids. And when he got married, he became a sharecropper in the Shiner area, and that's where I was born in 1933 on a farm in Lavaca County, and Mom and Dad were sharecroppers. That meant that the landowner would get 60% of the crops that were made, and the one doing all the work would get 40%. And it was a continuous struggle when you were trying to live on 40% of what you produced each year, because with 4 boys in the family, it got to be a little difficult, because we were really in the country to the extent that we had no electricity, we had no running water, we had a well or a cistern that we would catch rainwater, and that was the extent of the luxury. The requirement was every day as a sharecropper, not only didn't you get much of the proceeds of your hard work, but every day to survive you had to go ahead and get up early, and you had to do things like milk the cows, slop the hogs. In the evenings you had to shuck the corn, feed the chickens, pick up the eggs. This was just a routine, a daily routine, 7 days a week that was required on a farm, and Mom and Dad did everything they possibly could. One of the things that was always really a highlight and one of our biggest assets from our parents was the fact that Mom and Dad said that the integrity of an individual is built on your basis of living, and every day we went ahead and earned a reasonable respect from what we had to do. Each one of us was assigned particular tasks, and we had to do them. That was even before we went to school or any other thing came first, because the farm was essential. And we went ahead and started as young as, well, when we were in the 1st grade, we went ahead and rode a mule, me and my brother. I was in the 1st grade and he was in the 2nd. We rode a mule to school 3.5 miles, and when we would go ahead and leave in the morning, Daddy would put us on there and saddle the mule up, put us on the mule, and send us off to school. When we would get to school, to a 2-room schoolhouse, the teacher would come out, take us off of the mule, put the saddle off of the mule and put it in a stall and feed it that day, and in the afternoon after school was off, they would go ahead and saddle him up and send us back home. We would go ahead and go back and do the chores and that we had to do every day. But that was just a typical routine of the farm life that we were accustomed to, and it was similar. We felt that it was probably related or real close to the same life that 2 or 3 generations before of us was required to do, because of what we were putting into it. And it was enjoyable, and we look back at it and it's one of the highlights. What we learned and what we had to do made it a lot stronger for us the rest of our life.
Okay. Well, how was your transition after sharecropping into going into school and everything, going into the service?
Well, basically, one of the things that I like to really look back at in high school, for instance, we finally got, the last 3 years I was in high school, we finally got to ride a bus. and I played on the baseball and the basketball team. But if you had an out-of-town game or a night game, you couldn't catch the bus to go home. So what I would do on the days we had a game, I would ride my horse to 4 miles into town, leave it at a friend's house, which was close to high school. After the game, it might be 10 o'clock at night, I would go ahead and saddle up and ride back home, and the next morning do my chores, catch the bus, and come back to school. But that's the only means I had, because Mom and Daddy wasn't going to go ahead and quit doing what they did to go ahead and bring us. So the only way for us to go ahead and participate, we had to make accommodations, and that was one way. So we rode a lot of horses during that time. And this was in the 40s and up until 1951. So we were really country. But then the transition after that, basically in 53 I joined the Air Force, and was fortunate enough to get shipped to Orlando, Florida in headquarters, and had a real good relationship down there with the base commander, which was also a Texan, and Texans do stick together under those circumstances. But in the service, basically, we were more or less on vacation the whole time, because after being raised on a farm and working from early till late, the service was a very easy task for me, because I could put so little in it and still perform better than most of them. And when I became responsible for a crew as a staff sergeant, and if there was something to do, my easiest task was to go out with a crew of 6 or 12 guys and participate right alongside them, and I could get more done in a half a day than any other sergeant on the base could get done in a day, because if I did it, I expected them to do it and in the same time. And it was easy because they didn't mind working for me, because I was working right aside of them. And that whole time in the service, we were not only fortunate to have Colonel Mack as our friend, I participated and played on the base basketball and baseball team. And we traveled all over the United States playing ball. And it was really delighted. One of my really good friends, who happened to be the catcher when I was pitching, was a colored boy from Alabama that had 2 years of college. He was really an intelligent, real good friend. And it was rather unusual, because a lot of people couldn't understand why I could be friends with him. But I based it on the fact that he was a good human being. And respect is earned, it's not given. And he earned the respect of being decent. And just because he was black and he was a good ball player, he was my friend, and I enjoyed that. He was really a friend that I still respect to this day. And I'm 77, and looking back at it, that was a long time ago. But we were lucky. Fortunately, after that, I went ahead and did not re-up. I decided to go to school on the GI Bill, and came back to Houston, and went to University of Houston, got a degree in mathematics and in accounting. And fortunately, one of the highlights of going to U of H, when you didn't have any college accreditation before you applied as a GI, and University of Houston would give you a entrance exam. And they gave me an entrance exam, and I wanted to go ahead and do accounting because it was something that I thought I'd like. And after they went ahead and checked my entrance exam, they told me that I ought to be an auto mechanic or TV repairman because my entrance exam was so low. And I says, no, don't want to do that. I want an education. And the first English teacher I got was determined that I was going to flunk out. And the harder I worked, the meaner she got. But I ended up getting a B in that class. And when I got through, she said, old men can study, because she run me the gamut. But it was enjoyable, and I got a degree I got a BBA in accounting and a BS in mathematics in 4 years with 142 hours accredited. So with that in mind, from a country boy that had to pick cotton, had to go ahead and ride a mule to school, we've come a long way. and it has been a delight. Life has been wonderful.